I'm still actively in the process of recycling some of my old drought-tolerant gardening videos from California as a public service, because I know y'all are running out of water over there. Yeah. When I worked in the nursery trade in California, I remember that it was a no-no to use the word drought. Yeah, we didn't use that word in California. Yeah, we lived in the la-la land of dry gardening or something else. You know, we use any other term besides it's a drought. But, you know, that's living in la-la land, and I don't mean L.A., okay? You really need to get down to understand that you got a serious problem. Yeah. You're not going to be able to flush your toilet pretty soon if you keep water in your lawns. That doesn't make any sense at all. Not a bit. And we have our gardens, our lawns, our presentation at our homes, you know, it's all wound up in our egos. Boy, oh boy, I tell you, don't ever tell a lawn lover that they should take that thing out because, man, you're just dinging their ego. Yeah, I used to get hit all the time. When I lived there, I was an advocate for drought-tolerant plantings. So, cut it short, I am just recycling another one of the fine videos I did while in California about being able to grow stuff without additional water. There are a lot of plants that grow in California's Mediterranean climate. Yeah, and I mean the way it is, not the modified climate, you know, where you got water projects and you're shooting water all over. Not that climate. I'm talking about the one that you actually live in California. Little tough to grow a few things, you know, that need lots of water. Like you really have to work at it if you're going to do roses and stuff. But boy, I tell you, there are so many plants that come from South America, from Australia, from New Zealand, from the Mediterranean. You know, there's just so many plants that will thrive in California. And I'm not even talking about the beautiful California natives that are well adapted. You know, some Californians love their native plants, but the native plants, I think, from California and also from other parts of the Americas, too, they're more adored in places like Germany or Japan, yeah, where they do breeding programs with our natives, you know, well, anything that's different's exotic, I guess, right? But you got some great plants over there. I highly recommend you start tearing out that bluegrass and start putting in some manzanita, folks. Yeah, ain't no reason to give up on gardening just because you're running out of water. Although, one note, in California, you only have one time of the year to really start planting anything. It's in fall. I know the nurseries in California are all in league with Minnesota, and they all open up their doors and start operating, you know, in spring, April, May. You know, clouds get out there. Well, that's the beginning of the drought in California, the beginning of the dry weather period, which doesn't make any sense either. It's as senseless as growing lawns in California is heading into the garden in spring. You want to head into the garden in fall. I have said it over and over. The gardening industry in California has spent millions of dollars trying to get people to go into the garden in fall. And for the most part, the public refuses. They just can't get with that program. No. Spring is garden time. Anyway, in California, it's fall for you folks. Fall and maybe half the winter, you know. If you missed out planting in February, well, maybe you get by squeaking to about April. After that, hang up your garden gloves, go watch a movie. Winter's over and spring has sprung here in Fremont in the Bay Area. A little bit of rain this winter made all the difference in the world as far as the way this front yard looks. Right here we have some Salvia gregii, a watermelon. You know, this is one of the Mexican sages. I put this in last year in March from cuttings. Watered it in the day I stuck it in the yard, and then never watered it again during the course of the summer, which was hopefully the end of a 4 to 5 year drought we'd had here. I'm pretty amazed with how nice it looks this spring, now that we got a little rain. over there behind it. It's still a little pre-bloom, but we got some of the native orange monkey flower. Just a little bit over there to the left. You see the bloom on some chocolate aeonium, the nice yellow flowers. Some. A little bit of rainfall sure brought the succulents out. I guess some Graptopetalum paraguayense here, which was freshly planted last year. They're spreading nicely. It's called ghost plant in common English. Really doing well. Really doing well, considering the fact that we've really been in one of the worst droughts I've ever seen. My Graptivaria Fred Ives often burns out during the heat of summer, but it's been recovering again with a little rain from the winter here. Not quite as drought tolerant as the rest of some of these plants, but it does put up. Now bear in mind, this front yard utilizes no irrigation. It's living on ambient rainfall only. Well, there behind the Bay-Friendly Garden sign, the Leucospermum pom-pom, Leucospermum discolor pom-pom is coming into full bloom. This is one of my favorite proteas that will grow here in the Fremont area. There's a lot of gorgeous proteas out of South Africa, but this one right here is absolutely my favorite. It is tough, it blooms, does not require water. This one's been unirrigated now for at least 10 years, doing just fine. This is another one of my favorite South African plants, Euphorbia Mammalaris, the corncob plant. Over here on the native side of the yard, the hummingbird sage, or Salvia spathiacea, one of California's native sages, is starting to come into its beautiful spring bloom. Here in the foreground you see some orange monkey flowers. Over there against the wall in the back we've got a few California poppies popping. This right here is our native soap lily. These over here aren't native, but they sort of grow like it is. That's the calla. Right here under the manzanita we've got some of the native California Pacific Coast irises. We've got a purple one here. And over here on this side, one of my favorites, canyon snow. Canyon snow is so strong. A gopher tried to wipe this out a few years ago, but he didn't manage. Manzanita trunks. Manzanita trunks are so beautiful. I absolutely love manzanita. Yeah, bright red bark under there. That's some gorgeous stuff. And right here in front of me I can smell orange blossoms. Wow, look at all the orange blossoms. Oh, look at all the oranges. Oh, this is Washington Navel. A very old tree. I think it goes back almost 50 years. This fruit is very sweet. So is the smell of the flower. It's overwhelming. This big old orange tree is the only part of my front yard that actually gets a garden hose frequently. I'll lay a hose underneath it. Oranges need water. I didn't plant it out here. It pre-existed us buying the house, so there it is. But it's growing next to sago palms and ponytail palms. I got a pretty big one going over there. And out here we have some succulents in collection. This right here is the little corn cob, but back behind it we have the giant corn cob. A little pot of Mammalaria micromeris over here, which is a Arizona cactus. Got a big old stump from the Washingtonia foliifera left in the yard. We used to have a great big giant palm here. When we purchased the house, I told Ellen, you didn't buy a house. I said, that's a palm tree. And we later had it taken down. Wasn't very well adapted to the local climate. We left the stump in place, and what I've found is that the stump is a moisture sink. In the wintertime, that stump soaks up water, and then it re-releases it slowly in the summer. You'll see here we have ferns coming out of the bottom and all around it. Right in front here we have the Peruvian lily, Alstromerias, which need a little bit of water to be happy. They're growing like crazy. And then up behind it over there I've got the flowering maple, or Abutilon megapotanicum. It also needs some moisture. Well, they're all pulling water back out of that stump. And I think that whole process is pretty astounding, using a stump as a moisture sink. It actually does work. Thing is just piles and piles of fibers and fibers and fibers, and so water soaks in here. Then it just gradually comes back out. Here I've stuck a ponytail palm into a hole in the center and got some sedum burritos that are actually growing off the top of the palm. Gasteria, Aeonium, Sunburst. We even got a golden barrel cactus from Arizona back there. I think most of the reason why this works for me here is that we're using organic fertilizers and mulches in the yard that allow the fungal association of mycorrhizae, and I think that's what's helping these plants along through the drought by redistributing whatever moisture there happens to be throughout the whole landscape. Keep the mulches on. It was a fine video when I first did it years ago, and it's an excellent video as a recycled format. All right, Gracie. Yeah. Aloha, folks. Turn off the garden hose. Turn off the garden hose.